There we go. Now it's official. And let me also enable closed captioning for everyone in case you need that. There we go. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I am Teresa Clark. I'm the president of Rfm Maryland, and we are so excited today to have this great presentation by one of our long-term premier sponsors, iWave. iWave's been supporting our chapter for a good long while, and we really appreciate their support. It really allows us to continue to provide free programming throughout the year so that everyone can have access to resources and learnings throughout the year. I did want to do a quick little plug to stay tuned to your emails from Rfm Maryland over the next couple of weeks. We have a couple of exciting webinars coming up that are in the works. So those should be scheduled in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned to your emails for information about those. Well, let me go ahead so we can go ahead and get officially started and pass this over to Bree.
Thank you so much, Teresa, and thank you to Rfm Maryland for having us today. Welcome everybody to our session, How to Use Fundraising Intelligence to Fuel Your Entire Fundraising Strategy. I am joined today by my fantastic colleague, Sarah Adams. Sarah has worked in the nonprofit space in several capacities: resource development, volunteer management, direct mail copywriting, board membership, and program development. Now in her role as an account executive at iWave, she looks forward to meeting development teams every day who are curious about iWave's fundraising intelligence solution. Her favorite part is meeting people who are working hard to build a better future and seeing their reaction when they discover what's possible using iWave. So the agenda for today is we will go over a bit about iWave and what's new on our end. Sarah will go into a demonstration of our solution and show you how to fuel all aspects of your fundraising. And then we will have a Q&A portion at the end. So please do feel free to add any of your questions into the chat box or the Q&A, and we will address those at the end. So we are very proud to be the #1 solution for 8 consecutive quarters on G2 as determined by real users. So we have over 270 happy reviews sitting on G2, and hopefully we get the leader for next quarter as well. We've also won an Edison Award recently for our foundation and company screening feature, another industry first, and we've won various Stevie's and Titan Business Awards for our best-in-class customer service. So very proud of that and very humbled to receive these awards. And I'll pass it over to Sarah to talk a bit about our clients, specifically in your area.
Thanks, Bree. Yeah, so there's a nice overview here. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining today. It's nice to meet you all and see you all. We have over 4,000 subscribers at iWave, and here are just a few that are in Maryland, and some of them you will recognize. I think that's it for this screen. Bree's moving the screens for me. And today we wanted to talk a little bit about, I'm going to show you the product and going to show you how it's used by our subscribers and how it can help fuel your fundraising. And while we go through, I also want to touch on some of our newest innovations that were released in the past year. There's multi-lens scoring. So real quick, it allows you to see all of your donors through multi-lenses that you customize. So if you're a university, for example, and you want to see which of your donors are best aligned with a capital campaign, or maybe you want to see who's best aligned with, maybe there's a health building that you're wanting to fund or a program, like different affinities. It's amazing. You can see who is best aligned for what program or campaign. We'll show you how that works. Company and foundation screening, which Bree mentioned, we won an award for. Very cool. You can now screen and score and get a prioritized list of your companies and foundations that are already giving to you or who you hope to get funding from, and see profiles that are detailed with scores to let you get an actionable list of the most inclined to give, or the best matches. So it's a very popular addition to our suite. We now offer planned giving, scores, and analytics. That was something that was added because, of course, that is a necessary score and insight when you're looking to learn about your donors. Smart Alerts is very new and very cool. I'll show you how that works. I won't even explain it. It'll be a nice surprise when we go into the product. And connections, of course, you want to see who your donors or potential donors are connected with. And we have a great way of showing you that. So that's a nice overview of the new features. Oh, yes, and so we also have prospect lists. So more and more when we talk to nonprofit leaders, they come to us and say, of course, we want to understand our current donors and see who's most inclined to give a gift and who we should focus on. But also we need new donors. We need new potential donors that align with our cause. And so we've always been able to do this to an extent. We've just ramped up the program so that now we can hand you a list of potential donors, and you can screen them with the press of a button against your own scoring parameters. So very exciting. So I'll show you how that works. I actually made a list, a little sample list that's relevant to some of you in Maryland. So I think at this point, Bria, if you let me share my screen, I will share. Wait a second. Let me see here, share screen. Okay. Where's the green? Wait a second. Oh, it says I am screen sharing. Can you guys see my screen? Because there's no green.
Yep, we can. We can see your screen.
100%. This screen. Yeah? Okay. It's just scary because I can't see the green outline, but I'm going to assume you can see what's happening. So I'm moving my mouse right now. Everyone can see that? Okay. So this is the iWave platform when you log in. Oh, I wanted to mention too, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I won't be monitoring the chat, but Bree will. And then when I'm finished, I'll be happy to answer your questions at that time, okay? So iWave is an online wealth screening, philanthropic screening platform. It is on a cloud. It's super secure. We're SOC 2 Type 2 certified. All measures are in place to make it private and confidential and secure. Your whole team can log in here and do research. What I like to talk about first always is data, because data informs everything that we do. And we often get questions about how often is your data updated? What kind of data are you providing? And so I like to lead with data because that's what fuels everything that we do. It starts with data, and then we analyze that data after you submit your name, analyze the data, score it, and provide you with really important insights to help fuel all your fundraising initiatives. But without understanding, so now you can see this screen. Okay, thanks, Bree. So I'm going to do a quick review. Hopefully you can see this. Maybe I'll make it a little bigger. We look at not just wealth data. Of course, we want to know, what's the wealth capacity, what's the wealth history of your prospect or donor. So we look at things like real estate and prospects of wealth. Do they, their company information, salary, do they have insider filings and holdings and all kinds of information that's important to understand their wealth, and we score them on their wealth capacity, right? We also look at philanthropic data. This is what really one of the things that sets iWave apart is that we have a gigantic donations database called VeriGift. It's our own database of donations where we find those donations are on publicly acknowledged gifts. Most times it's an annual report. We bring those donations back and we'll mark them as either a corporate, individual, or foundation donation. We'll be able to tell you how much that person gave or that corporation gave if it's on the annual report, right? And we're also able to define what affinity that donation went to. And why this is important is when we do an affinity score, because we score on affinity, we're going to be able to tell you if you're an arts-based organization, if your donor is giving to other arts-based organizations. And if that's the case, we'll score them higher on affinity. There's lots of other uses for VeriGift, but it is huge in understanding where else your donors are giving and how philanthropic they are, right? So I'll show you a little bit more about VeriGift later. GuideStar, nice little portal in here where you can find out all kinds of information about foundation gifts and grantee information and grantor information, and also be able to tell you if your prospect is active on a board, right? There's a portal in iWave where you can put companies where your donors work in it, and we'll be able to tell you whether there's a matching gift program at that company. Of course, we also look at political donations to round out the philanthropic data, and then we look at biographic data. We use ZoomInfo, Database USA, and Dun & Bradstreet to fill in the blanks for contact information, companies, where they went to school, what their interests are. Really cool information comes back through the biographic screen. And we also have a news and obituary section where you're going to be updated on news if you put certain alerts in. And we use legacy.com for our funeral home filings. All of our data is updated on weekly and monthly schedules, so you always have updated information on your donors. So that's the data that we use. And then what we do is we analyze the data, of course, and we score it. So the next thing I want to show you is how iWave actually provides you with a customized scoring model. So this is unique in the field. We don't want to just give general scores like this person is rich, so you should ask them for money. We ask you in the background here to define your scoring preferences. And because we're scoring on affinity, propensity, and capacity, we definitely want you to let the system know what your affinity as an organization is, right? What is your cause? So if you were an arts and culture, performing arts organization looking to understand your donors and to see, even to find prospective donors, before you do any lookups in iWave, tell the system who you are, what your affinity is, right? There's education, higher ed, elementary school, there's health, there's environmental causes, we've got human services here, all kinds of affinities to choose from, right? Why this helps, of course, as I said, when the donations come back, if you put your person's name in, you get the philanthropic data back. If they are giving to other arts-based organizations, they'll score higher on affinity. So very cool for the affinity that it is so customized. And then, of course, you want to say what your capacity ratings are for a strong donor, good donor, fair, or weak, okay? All of the iWave scores, to keep it very simple, are out of 4, and 4 is high. So these are 5-year capacities. I have 25,000 in here because often that is what organizations tell me. Unless they're giant, right? You know what, $5,000 a year over 5 years would be a strong donation for us. So we put 25,000 in here. And then we fill in the other ones accordingly. And so that's the capacity rating. And then we also score on propensity. So how inclined is that donor to give a charitable gift at all? Are they philanthropic? Do they sit on boards? So we also will provide you with a propensity score. Now, all 3 of those scores will be averaged out to provide you with an iWave score. So then the beauty of that is that every time you see an iWave score on one of your donors' profiles, you will know that all this research has been considered, right? So it means it's not just a capacity rating, it's propensity, affinity, and capacity combined. We do go one step further and allow you to customize the weighting that we put on each of those 3 aspects of a donor. Usually our subscribers leave them evenly weighted to make that iWave score. But if you're in a capital campaign and the people that you're screening, I said and really loud there, but if the people that you're screening are already members and they're already dedicated donors, you might know the affinities already there and be really interested more in the propensity and the capacity. So in that case, you could say, when you're scoring this set of donors, please use these weights when coming up with a score, okay? Finally, there's another score, and this is not unique to iWave in the industry. It's called an Rfm score. R is recency. These are internal giving score. So we look at recency, frequency, and monetary of the donations they've given to you, right? So for example, in this case, I've set it up that a strong 4 out of 4 donor for recency would be someone who's given over the past year, right? Frequency, 21 gifts and up over time, and what's their total gift amount? The reason you want to include this information is that we are able to, and this is important, we're able to compare then that internal giving score to the external iWave score and segment your donors into one of 4 categories. And the most exciting category every time that I talk to development teams is a hidden gem category. So we're able to tell you which of your donors has a lower internal score than a iWave score. That indicates to us that they're on the radar of other nonprofits. They are giving to other nonprofits, but not so as, not as strongly as they are to you. You might definitely look at their profiles and see, learn more about that person and what their capacity is. So how cool is it that you can, just by doing a screening, understand who your hidden gem donors are, right? Usually, and even sometimes when I'm talking to nonprofit leaders, and when we first start talking, they tell us, like, we know we have potential in our database, we just don't know who those people are. And that's exactly what iWave is able to provide. So very exciting. That is the scoring parameters. So now we can do some fun things, which is look at what the results look like. Okay, you've set everything up. So let's pretend you're an arts-based organization, and a 25,000 over 5-year donation is a strong gift, a major gift. Okay, so along the side here, you'll see different pillars of how iWave is used. Get score, which you can find here and also see right on the home screen. This is for your one-off lookups. We all know that sometimes you meet somebody, you just really want to find out about them as soon as possible. You put their name in here, and all we require is a first and last name. And you can generate a full iWave profile with scoring immediately, right? So get score is very cool. Actually, I could do it for this name here. This might be familiar to some people because it came from a list I made for Baltimore. I made a prospect list, but let's just put Walker. My God. Let's say I don't know anything about Walker. I think it's a he. I'm just gonna, and I don't know anything else. I'm just gonna put go to next. Now I've already have a profile for him, so I'm gonna say get new score. I'm gonna pretend that I don't have anything, right? What will happen when you put a first and last name and get score is it's gonna match to real estate. And so there are 2 here. You wanna go with the one that you know it is, right? It looks like they're both the same person, but this is the property and mailing address, so they match, so that's their primary. Let's just click next. See, and now what iWave does is we go through all those data sets, bring back information that matches that individual, gives you this screen here. It's like a sneak peek. So I want to learn more about Walker. This doesn't use up, this is an unlimited ability in iWave, it doesn't use up a screen or anything like that. And right now it's just creating a profile, okay? So there's no picture automatically generated. You have to find it yourself, which is fine. And then you definitely want to click the records tab on a profile because this is where you'll find all the information that iWave came back with. So it's very exciting. Okay, so what we see here, this is new to me, so just for the first time, but we see at the top of everybody's profile, you'll see a broad stroke overview of what came back, right? How many charitable gifts came back through VeriGift? What's their latest gift they've given? What's their largest gift? You know, political contributions, a nice breakdown of the affinities, where they're giving, where his giving is aligned, and some wealth indicators, how many properties, what's the property's worth, and also what boards is this person involved with. And it brings in spouse too, which is usually very nice. You can see the executives they're connected with at each board. So that's all static. That's a nice overview. But then what happens is you get to dig into the records if you want to and see what information came back under each of those data sets, right? So you go down and you see what came back through Zoom Info. You can see what came back through Database USA, some ages, income, address. This part's really exciting when you get to the donations piece. This is iWave, these are the donations iWave has in our database that we have found that are matched to those names. I always give this a couple clicks to bring up the most recent donations that they've given, 2020. Large gift, Boys Latin School of Maryland Incorporated, right? Now I have my screen enlarged, but if I make it smaller, which I will just to show you, bear with me just for a second. See all these PDFs here? These are all source documents where we found that information. So why it's called VeriGift is because everything is verifiable. If I click here, I'm going to see where we got that donation, where we found it. It's usually an annual report. So that's cool. The other very cool thing is if you were, say you were another organization that had the same sort of, wanted to, let's just say you wanted to see the donor list that we have for Boys Latin School of Maryland. You can click any of these. You look at the Housing Aid Center, for example, right? You can click it and see what other donations are in VeriGift. There are 3,283. If I click here, I'm going to click it just because it's pretty cool. You can see the donors, the recipients, the amounts, and sometimes there's no amount. Sometimes gifts are anonymous, right? Sometimes there's a range, but it's pretty nice to see. And you can also go into VeriGift and look for specific nonprofits you're interested in, maybe taking a peek at their corporate donors or their foundational donors and individual donors, right? So we're seeing that Walker and his spouse are generous. And then we see their real estate, right? Pretty cool with real estate, where if you were interested and you wanted to see, maybe this is a major donor of yours and you're interested to see, who else lives on their street, maybe do a screening of some of those individuals. You can invite them to an event if you wanted to. You have full address, name. You could look these people up if you wanted to. So a lot of members or subscribers are telling us that that's a fun feature, is clicking the address to get some neighbor information when they for events and other things. Sorry, scrolling down here after donations. Now, real estate also, if you click the actual name, you'll see transaction history, whether there's if it's owned free and clear, if there's been mortgages lately, secondary properties. You can take a look at the house if you'd like to, right? That's the CoreLogic real estate data set. Prospects of wealth. So if I click here, you're going to see more information about the kind of donor Rachel is, and we have political gifts. And we also have foundational, this is the GuideStar portal, right? So it's telling us that actually not only were they donors, but Walker was on the board at the Boys Latin School for years, right? So this is also cool. You can click on the funder name. You could do this for any funder, but so if you were interested in seeing, sorry guys, financials, they're right here. 990s for this foundation are here. Individuals involved here, and grants that they're awarding here. You can go right into the GuideStar data set as well and look up specific foundations you're interested in seeing this information for, and you'll see it there. So, so that's what the records tab looks like. A nice overview of somebody that, 10 minutes ago I didn't know anything about. But going along at the top here, you'll see we're very transparent with how we want to make sure that our, some of our formulas are, how do we come up with that capacity to give, right? There's formulas to it. We also provide a planned giving score. So this tells us right away that Walker is not a 4 out of 4, is a 1 out of 4 for planned gift. And analytics, we provide some great insight into how to cultivate and engage based on a variety of combinations, propensity, capacity. And we're also able to show you who are they connected with on these different boards, neighbor connections, and you can also add custom connections. Our profiles are very customizable. You can add custom donations, salary and real estate, I believe, and connections, right? And you can also delete records if you know that if you don't want it on there, you can delete like spouse, for example, or if a record needs to be verified and you can't, you can just delete it. So that's a profile. You can share this as a PDF with your team. If you have an integration with your CRM through iWave, you can just send this information to your CRM, say it's Salesforce. You'll have a really slick box, for lack of a better word, on Salesforce telling you all the important high-level information, including scores, iWave scores right on the Salesforce record. Okay, so that's profiles through the one-off lookup, right? We used get score. Now we'll move to screening. So screening's the same, it's just it happens for multiple people or households at the same time. So if you have a list of 1,000 donors, active donors, you really like to know who should rise to the top of your list. You submit them either through your CRM, if you have the integration, or you can download our template, put first, last name, city, state, country. More information is better, but that's the minimum we require to do a screening. You submit it and you will receive a list back. Let's look at these are all screenings that I've done. Hey, okay, we'll look at that in a second. Well, let's look at it now. I screened real quick. I did a prospect. I looked for prospects and got iWave to make me a prospect list if I were on a Baltimore shelter, right? So that list has just been screened. It's 348 people. Let's just take a look at what the results look like. I just with the walker. So when you get your screening back, it'll look like this, right? You'll have the names here, iWave score, how we came up with that iWave score, right? You'll see all three. You'll see the internal giving score if you provided that information. Of course, I don't have internal information on this screening because it was prospects I was looking for. And so I guess this is not the greatest example because it also doesn't show insights, but if I had that internal giving information here, I would see, is this person a hidden gem or a not now prospect or a distinguished philanthropist or a champion? Those are the 4 categories we're able to segment your donors into if you provide the RFM or internal score. And then going along, you'll see all that information we just saw on the profile is here, but it's in this format, right? When you get your screening back, that's the internal stuff that's not there. But then you'll see how many donations did we find in Verigift, right? How many properties do they have? What are they worth? How many donations? I know I'm going fast, but it's hard just to slide over like this. Do they have insider filing? Are they part of a private or public foundation board? What foundation name is that? What are those assets, age, all kinds of information. So you can see it's easier to read it in the profile format, right? And any of these donors that I want to have profiles for, now that I've screened them, I just click them and go to create profile. Done. Now they live over here. Okay. You can also export your whole screening project through CSV. And you can download a nice summary that'll tell you what percentage are good, strong, good, fair, and weak. Who are our hidden gems? So that's what the summary will show you, which is really nice. It's usually the first thing that teams do after they provide or do a screening project is they want to see a summary, and then you definitely want to see who your top. You can filter every list. So if I click this once, and then I click it twice, clicking it twice brings all my 4s up to the top. So a whole list of people you may not have known anything about or much about. Now you have them sorted into an actionable list. So that's screening. Now we'll look at prospect lists. Kind of already did that because I just showed you the result of screening a prospect list. This is new and exciting, just launched 2 weeks ago. iWave can now, you can just go into iWave. This is included in all of our subscriptions. There's 2 ways you can make a prospect list. You can use a previously screened file. We want it to be a pretty recent screening, right? And you can say, and then the next screen would say, now of that screened file, choose your top 5 donors. You want us to find more donors like those donors. You just click a couple more buttons and then it says, and then so iWave will come up with a list. Once the list is ready, you literally can click one button to screen that whole list against your own scoring parameters, right? There's another way to do it, and this is how I made my Baltimore shelter one. I used it because I don't have a previously screened list that made sense to use. So I named the list. I said, I want to find people in Baltimore. And then I named the categories that I wanted, the giving categories. So of my organization. So I had a fake organization in my mind that was a shelter. So I chose human services, and then I chose shelter and residential care. And I clicked next and I said, iWave, find me a list. What happened is then iWave found me a list. There were 348 prospects. And then I went to the list, and I've already done this, so but then I could filter this list even further down if I didn't want to screen everyone. Pretty sure I want to know everything about all of these people. So I just pressed screen list. And literally half an hour later, I had that list that we looked at together of potential donors, right? That looked like this, the one we just looked at. So that's the beauty of prospect lists. It's like using your top donors as your parameter for finding more people who are giving to organizations like these people are giving to, matching them to addresses, and then allowing you to screen them against your parameters for a nice, not everybody is going to, you'll see. If I click this again, you will see that some of them are 2s, right? The affinity is there, but the capacity and the propensity aren't. So of, the 300-400 people, there are a lot of good potential donors here that you want to take a look at. But not every single one is going to be perfect, right? But much, much better than buying a mailing list, which I've heard nightmares about recently. So that's prospect lists. Another thing that is new and I wanted to show is the multi-lens scoring. This isn't ideal for every organization, but if your organization has more than one affinity, or you have several different campaigns, which most of us do have several campaigns. You've got sometimes a capital and an annual, and you've got your direct mail, and you have different affinities, different projects or programs you want to fund. What you can do is, when I was in the back there doing the scoring parameters, remember when we set up our scoring lens, right? The affinity capacity. What iWave has the potential, what we have the capability of doing now is allowing our subscribers to set up to 5 different combinations of affinities and capacities. So essentially you're looking at your donors that you've screened under 5 different lenses at the same time. So if you're looking for, this was for a university, and often universities love this. They're the ones who take it up the most because they have a lot of different affinities, or colleges, right? They may have a STEM lab project, health building, annual campaign, capital campaign, and they all have different. So then you can see in your screening, you click off multi-lens and see which donors or prospects make sense to approach for which campaign. If they have a history of giving to science and research, then STEM lab they'll score higher on that, right? Or maybe right? So maybe it's education, or maybe it's health that they're giving to, so they have that affinity to health, then those constituents would be great to cultivate for a health initiative on campus. So multi-lens, pretty groundbreaking. It's not relevant to everybody, but more and more organizations are taking it on. It is an add-on to our program because it also helps you not have to rescreen individuals as often, right? Because you're seeing them through all these lenses at once. Usually I pause and ask questions, so it's strange just to move into each different thing, but bear with me. I want to show you one more very cool addition, and that is the smart alerts. If Joseph is one of my donors, or I want to keep an eye, for lack of a better way of saying it, I want to keep tabs on him. And basically, if I want to keep his profile very recent without rescreening, you have a specific number of smart alerts with your subscription. If I want to use one on Joseph here, I just enable that. Now what's going to happen is it tells iWave that anytime we find a new donation in VeriGift, anytime we find a new political gift, or we detect a new transaction or real estate, there's a change in the real estate, or there's new stock holdings, there's new insider filings, you'll actually receive an alert. These are all smart alerts that I need to look at, right? If I click it, you can see like this person, I would click here and it would show me what the new piece of information is. And if I add it, it actually gives them a new capacity, right? So then I can add that donation and to the profile. So you can move around your smart alerts however you like. If you're keeping an eye on somebody for a while and there's no activity, you can move it to a different donor. So smart alerts are a really exciting new development. Another thing that we did mention at the beginning that is new is the ability to screen not only individuals, but also institutions, so companies and foundations. So What this means is that you can actually get all the same kind, like a profile and a ranking and scores for companies and foundations. You're going to set different parameters in your scoring parameters. There's a toggle that you can say, okay, these are our individual scoring preferences, but for institutions, like for companies, we want at least $500,000 in funding, and these are our parameters. And then you literally can see a list of top prospects for companies and foundations. And you can see a nice profile on them as well. So if I went to Greenstone here, it's going to show me a profile. This is great for those departments. If you're lucky enough to have a grants department or somebody who focuses on corporate gifts, this will be their baby, right? So the ability to do that is industry first. Nobody else is able to provide this kind of information on companies and foundations. So it's an add-on to our like subscription, but the kind of insights you get, usually just the time savings alone is like a simple. If you're spending the time already trying to figure out who to approach for gifts, this instantly will provide you with an actionable list. I think I touched on all the new innovations. Bree, maybe you can let me know if I'm missing any of them.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that was record time. Fantastic job getting through all the new innovation in the past year. We did have a few questions come in. So I know one that we get asked all the time is, how long does it take to return results from prospect lists? So how long does it take to get that list back after you've created it?
My list there was 347, I think it was, people. I created it today, got it back today in about half an hour. And I thought that was a little bit long because I was like, I wanted to get it back before the webinar. So it's usually we usually say next day. So if it's, 300,000, it could take a little longer, but our results are known to come back very fast. Yeah. So
yeah, we haven't heard of any that took over 24 hours as of yet. That being said, our clients could go on and definitely test the system and prove us wrong, but it's pretty quick to get it back at this point.
I'm pretty sure we have one consulting group right now who's actually screening millions. And I'm not sure what the turnaround time is there, but I know they're very happy. So
yes. And we had another question came in, and this is a great one that's so relevant right now. Do you note if prospects have donor advised funds or give through donor advised funds?
Yeah, that's one that does come up. So it's tough if it's anonymous already. There's no way around it for us to find out. So because we do deal with publicly available information. So when it comes to DAFs, there is a cool, didn't show you this, but I'm going to show you very, very quickly. All of those data sets are along the top here. You can dig into any of them. So one that's very cool is the foundations shows us the GuideStar portal that we have in here. And you can, when you're looking, this is as close as we get, okay? This is a new filter we have on here. So if you were looking for foundations that have DAFs, right? You can do that and say, show me all the foundations, and then you start saying, Maryland, who have noted that they have that capacity. That's about as close as we get. But yeah, we don't have a magic bullet or a magic solution for that. If they're anonymous, then they remain anonymous. I hope that answers your question. I wish I could say that we could, but so far, no.
Yeah, unfortunately, until the rules and regulations and privacy kind of change surrounding those or loosen up, it's what we have. But we are always working on workarounds. So keep your eyes peeled. It wouldn't surprise me if we have some additional functionality in the future. Teresa, me too. I hope someone finds workaround for it as well. So as we were talking about scoring, there was a question come in regarding how important is it for a name to have a middle name for a donor or alumni? So I think that's in regards to maybe creating the profile or searching with middle name.
When you're searching, you can search without the middle name, and then it will match up to real estate. And by if you know what state or what real estate matches, then you'll see the middle name, the middle initial, and you can use that moving forward. So if you don't know it, you can usually find it out. Typically, so if it's a very common name, it's very helpful to have the middle initial. right? And if it's a unique name, then it's not necessary. And it's not necessary if it's common either. I hope we're not talking in circles here. But if you have it, then you should include it, because it will exclude, it'll be more, it'll generate a profile with higher confidence. We have a whole confidence of match setup where, you know, we'll tell you how confident we are out of 10 that record matches that individual. So having the middle initial will make your confidence of match higher, more confident. But it's not necessary to have it in order to find an alumni or a donor.
Awesome, thank you. And then regarding the customizable profiles that we have, if you had, say, a salary to a profile, will that then be included in gift capacity calculations?
Yes, it will. So, but you can add it, and then you just hit the refresh button on the profile and you refresh the score. And when you do that, you're asking the system to consider any new information that's been added to the profile, right? So if I were to go to this person, I have an active alert on her. If I added a custom record, I add the custom record, right? It looks like this. You choose, you go next and everything else. And then once you've added it, you just refresh the score, and it often will, if you're adding new information, change the score. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah, super cool. And just to clarify, iWave doesn't store that internal data that you give to us to re-score your profiles. It's housed in your CRM. We do not hold on to it. I know it's been a concern of others in the past for sure.
Yeah, when you use the word internal, then it's always but we're unable to do that because we're SOC 2 type 2, and it stays in your instance of iWave. Yes.
Yes, exactly. We had another question come in regarding what factors go into the plan giving score. And I know that's a bit of a tricky one because we can't give away like the formula or the secret sauce.
Sauce.
If you want to touch on some of the factors that go into that would be great.
Yeah, well, typically when we did our research, it took us a long time to come up with a reliable score. We wanted it to be really great and different than typical plan giving scores that typically will consider 2 factors like age and how long they've been giving to your organization. But we actually work on 8 qualifying criteria. Some of those things are insider filings and real estate holdings, and they're internal giving to you. There are 8 though, so and I can't actually even think of all 8 of them at the moment, but there's definitely more than 2. So those are just some of them.
Yeah, I think like age and propensity and affinity score goes into it as well. So yeah, without giving away our secrets, there are definitely some scientific factors that go into the scoring for that.
Yes, I hope that answers your question okay.
Yes, I think that's it for questions. Please do pop in any last minute questions that you have into the chat. I'm going to put Sarah's information into the chat as well. If you want to send her an email or give her a call, reach out and learn more about iWave. She would be more than happy to help you, more than happy to do a more customized demonstration for your organization. And I will just pop in our contact form as well if you want to contact any of us here at iWave to learn more or have any of your questions answered. With that, we didn't have any more questions, so I will pass it back over to you, Teresa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. I'm really excited for some of the new features. That's something, really exciting. And I really hope that everyone can really take advantage of that. Again, let me just go ahead and say thank you everyone for joining. We will be distributing this recording afterwards, both to you all as well as to all the people that couldn't make it today. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great day.